I like Hololive. I also like Warhammer. So what if I were to combine the two? Introducing Project Holohammer, where I draw every Hololive member as if they existed in the world of Warhammer. I've had this idea for quite a while now, since before Advent debuted in fact, and in the meantime some of the members have actually been getting into Warhammer thanks to Space Marine 2. That said, I'm more of a fantasy guy, so that's the setting I'll be working with. If you came here expecting me to draw Gura as a Carcharodon Space Marine, sorry to disappoint you. Now drawing every member would obviously take ages, so today I'll just start with Myth. Going forward I want to turn this into a series where I slowly go through all the generations. With all that said, let's begin! First up is of course who else but my Oshi, Ina. For some of the members, trying to make them fit into the Warhammer world is a bit tricky, but for Ina it was pretty easy. She's a chaos sorceress leading a secret cult within the Empire. I gave her robes based on her outfit with a little bit of inspiration from the Watcher and also a blindfold, which isn't based on anything in particular, I just thought it fit the design really well. Her staff is based on this miniature but with Ina's eye symbol, and her halo got replaced with a chaos wheel. And of course I added a little Takodachi, but I made it look spookier because it's actually a demonic chaos familiar. I also almost forgot her pointy ears and her headband thingy. Honestly, whenever I draw Ina, her headband is the thing that gives me the most trouble. I don't know, it's just very hard to draw and get right, I don't know why. Anyway, I made her tentacles come out of the bottom of her robes rather than her back, so they're a bit less conspicuous and also don't take up most of the image. Now since I covered her eyes with the blindfold, I made ink pour out from underneath it. Makes it look more grim and dark. Grimdark, you could say. And that's Ina the Chaos Sorceress. Pretty good for the first one I think. I really like how this turned out. I imagine her corrupting people by offering them cookies in return for worshipping chaos. Next up is Kelly. You'll see me use Ina as a size reference throughout these because I'm not great at drawing consistent proportions for sizes. Originally I was considering to make Kelly a necromancer or a cannon wraith, both of which would very much fit her aesthetically. But her job is to guide the dead to the afterlife, not to raise them. So instead I landed on making her an amethyst wizard and priestess of Mor, who I guess would be Death Sensei. I gave her heels at first, but those felt too fancy, so I went with boots instead. She's wearing an ominous cloak and holding a skull. That was a bit of a struggle to draw actually, because hands are hard, but I got it right eventually. I tried to freehand her scythe, but then I gave up and just traced it and made some minor changes to simplify it. I added various elements of her outfit to her cloak and put a rose in her hair, because both Kelly and Amethyst Wizards use a lot of rose imagery. At first I picked the colors from her actual outfit, but then I changed them to various shades of purple. She is an Amethyst Wizard after all. And that's Kelly the Amethyst Wizard. I kinda just simplified her real model while making it look shabbier to fit the Warhammer aesthetic. But hey, it turned out really nice. Moving on to Kiara, I originally wanted to make her a member of the Phoenix Guard, but turns out those follow a vow of silence, and that just doesn't feel right for Kiara. Instead, I made her a Bright Wizard, which fits her equally well, and also means both of Takamori are Imperial Battle Wizards, so that's fun. And so I went and redesigned her KFP uniform as wizard robes, which was surprisingly easy actually. Bright Wizards often use burning swords, which also works out really nice, though I couldn't give her a shield, so I made that a little emblem on her choker. I wasn't sure what to do for the staff at first, but then I had the idea to put Kotori at the top. I also wasn't sure if I should give her a head at first, because Bright Wizards usually don't wear those by virtue of their hair being on fire. But she looked a bit naked without one. Luckily her head looks pretty similar to one of those Imperial feather heads, so I gave her one of those. Also her sword ended up looking like the goddess sword from Zelda, which was not intentional but kinda fitting. And that's Kiara the Bright Wizard. I really like this one too. It might be my favorite next to Ina. She would fit perfectly into an Imperial army, though maybe that's just because of the hat. Alright, on to Ame. Just like Ina, Ame was really easy to figure out, because she's obviously gonna be a witch hunter. It's just the perfect fit. Turning her detective outfit into that of a witch hunter was very easy, honestly. Almost too easy actually. I don't really know what to say about her, because compared to the others, there's no real insights into the design process. It just kinda went flawlessly, so now I have to figure out how to fill time, because somehow her time lapse is actually the longest. I gave her a mustache, a pocket watch, a sword and a pistol. And of course she has her trusty dog Baba by her side. It's unfortunate I wasn't able to start this project before she graduated or became an affiliate, whatever that actually means. Anyway, I just really don't know what else to talk about, so I'll just let the time-lapse play out. And that's Ame the Witch Hunter. Just like in the actual lore, Ame is the one who brings all of Myth together, as she is investigating Imperial wizards upon suspicions of chaos worship. Lastly, there's Gura. Gura was the trickiest one to figure out. There's not really any shark-related unit in Warhammer Fantasy. There's stuff in 40k and Age of Sigmar, but Fantasy only has the Fishmen, which are barely canon and mostly just a community in-joke, so I had to get creative. Now this might be a bit of a reach, but hear me out. Slayer Gura. Think about it. She's short, so being a dwarf fits. Her color scheme is white and blue, which are also the colors of Slayer pants, and she has a berserker alter ego, so it totally works, kinda. Instead of her shark hoodie, she just wears an actual dead shark as a hat, which also gives her silhouette a shark tail. I based her axes on the look of a trident, with the actual trident top becoming her belt buckle. And the shark moth part of her hoodie is instead a big scar, which she presumably got when fighting the shark. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to give her the ginger mohawk, because I felt like it just wouldn't look like Gura anymore. And that's Gura the Slayer. I'm glad how my dumb idea turned out. Gura the Shark Slayer would be Ame's sidekick, so Ame-Same can go on Gotrek and Felix-esque adventures together. And with that, all 5 members of Myth are done. They all turned out great and even fit together as a group. I guess this means I have my own AU now. But what do you think? Which one is your favorite? How would you have converted Holomyth into Warhammer? Do you have ideas for how to implement other members? Tell me in the comments. Once again, my plan is to make this into a series where I eventually cover every member. I already have concepts in mind for most of Yen, but I'm open to suggestions. So if you think you have the perfect idea, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. This video was a different format from the others because I wanted to do a video where I actually do art and not just talk about art. Going forward I want to do more of these drawing videos, alongside my regular videos of course. So yeah, bye!